Live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, this is Fantasy Dominance Now. Come dominate fantasy sports with us. And bringing you all the tools to dominate is Harry's Contracting. No job too big, no job too small. For a professional home improvement, give Harry Ernst a call at 609-638-6336. That's 609-638-6336. Or you can email Harry, Harry's Contracting Improvements at gmail.com. If you mention a2dradio.com when he comes out for the free estimate, you can get upwards to 20% off. Hey, happy All-Star Tuesday, everybody. Thank you ever so much for joining us. I'm Rob Povia. Sitting to my right is my main man and A2D Radio's resident Pittsburgh fan, Mike Kleinkoff, and our newest addition to the FDN team, Brian Daly, who dominates in all things fantasy sports.
Hockey?
Sometimes Pokemon, I don't know. We're talking about that a little bit about the show. What's up, gentlemen? How y'all doing? It's been a little while.
Yeah,
What's going on, man?
It was a good week off, but we're back, ready for some business, and feeling great.
I had a boring Tuesday last week. Had nothing going on.
Yeah, I
was
did nothing.
nice.
I was about to play street hockey. Street hockey got canceled, and I think I played Xbox all day, so I'd much rather be here.
Hey, yeah, me too. I mean, I was on vacation having a good time, spending some time with family, eating good food, drinking good spirits, enjoying the beach, enjoying the pool, but I missed being in studio. And when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
That's what they say. That's what they say.
There's nothing better than talking about sports.
Now, speaking of off, you might have noticed our regular producer, Matt Sensudi, is not here with us. That's because he's enjoying his birthday. I believe his 22nd birthday, so I want to wish a happy birthday to Matthew.
Happy birthday,
Hey,
Maddie.
Happy birthday, Maddie.
If you want to wish Maddie a happy birthday, hey, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search atdradio.com. Now, if you got fantasy questions, tweet at us with the hashtag AskFDN. I'm at RobbieBLTZ. Mike is at Mike_Kleinkoff. And Brian, our newest addition, I'm throwing out your Twitter, buddy. I hope I got your approval.
No, that's fine. I just maybe you should probably change my handle a little bit. But no, that's good. That's fine.
I love your handle, at Brian_A2D Radio.
All right, that's fine. We can do that. I'll leave it.
Absolutely. Well, hey, folks, we got a great show in store for you all today. We're going to be recapping the Home Run Derby last night. You know, some records were set. Certainly, as we talked about in the Facebook Live video for Tom Arnone Live, the luster is present. It was the second year for the new rules,
Yep.
and again, a nice competitive, a lot of strategy, more strategy that's ever been used. And I think it made it more closer to the excitement that the NBA has in their slam dunk competition. What say you, gentlemen?
Go ahead, Brian.
I love the Home Run Derby. I love the new rules. I noticed that they altered it a little bit from last year. Unless I'm wrong. It was like 5 minutes per round last year, and they moved it down to 4 minutes.
They set it as 5 minutes when they adapted the new rules, but then when they went to play it, they realized that may still take too much time, and I believe they played it with 4 minutes as well.
Right. I love it. I think it's better. You get to see some of these guys tire out, see who really has that endurance to hit these home runs. And surely, Giancarlo Stanton showed us all last night.
Yes.
He's a beast.
Absolute beast. Well, we'll get into the particulars in just a moment. We're also going to be giving you our Fantasy All-Star team at the midway point. Will it correspond to who's playing tonight in San Diego? Will it be different based on, fantasy sports is purely the stats, not any of the defense really involved. So we'll see how much it corresponds, how much our lists correspond, or how much maybe we'll agree to disagree. And then normally we have Kings, Jacks, and Jokers, but this week I'm calling an audible. We're going to have one king and one king only, and that's the recently retired Tim Duncan. We're going to pay tribute to the man, the 19-year pro. In the meantime, check us out on Twitter at A2D Radio, at A2D Radio_com, and vote for our poll today. Should the fans determine the MLB All-Star Game starters? Simple, yes or no. We'll get to the results later on in the show. So, getting back to the Home Run Derby, this talk is being brought to you by the BMW of Atlantic City. They challenged their sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save right now. Lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get to, minutes off of exit 37 on the Garden State Parkway, or online at bmwatlanticcity.com. So you want to go round by round? You want to talk about general thoughts after the home run derby has now concluded?
Hey, man, you're the one driving the boat, so you steer us.
All right. Let's go round one. Because there was definitely some great, exciting matchups right off the bat. And we'll begin with the matchup between Mark Trumbo, MLB's home run leader, versus Corey Seager. And Corey Seager represented.
Yes, he did.
I was very surprised.
I'll tell you what. I got home a little late, missed Corey Seager, but from the number that I saw on the bottom of the screen, it's impressive. I didn't get to see how long his home runs were, but to put up 15, he's what, a rookie, sophomore, something like that?
He came up last year, but this is his official rookie season.
Okay. Your rookie year, you go into the home run derby with the big boys, put up 15, respect.
But he did make a big rookie mistake. Didn't use his timeout. That might have affected his totals because no big surprise going against Mark Trumbo, who absolutely abused that warehouse. I think one of his homers actually opened one of the doors. It was hit so hard. WTF, really, with Seager. It's a rookie mistake.
Yeah, he's going to learn the more he does. Kid's got a lot of pop, and he showed it off last night.
Yep.
I loved it.
Absolutely. But as we know, Mark Trumbo moved on. And then we moved on to the second matchup in round one. What a first round for the eventual champ. I'm calling him Mike Stanton. Forget Giancarlo. I said him and Trumbo were my favorites in my Derby editorial and Longest Bomb article, which you can read after the show on a2dradio.com. I just had a feeling about Stanton going in, especially with he had four consecutive at-bats. He went yard against my Mets in all four times, one away from the all-time record. He's had a disappointing first half by his standards, not by normal standards, but by his standards. But, folks, I think he's eating up.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely got his feeling. Sadly, it happened against your Mets, but,
yep.
He's definitely coming back. I know at one point he was batting like a 193. He's definitely in, the 240s now. So he's definitely getting his game back. This could help him. I know we talked about earlier how, could this really affect the batter? Somebody like Mark Trumbo, even Giancarlo himself, it definitely switches up their swing. But I think this might help Giancarlo Stanton this time and give him back that life that he's always had.
Well, yeah, I totally agree with you, Mike, because he was hitting BBs, a lot of line drives. He wasn't really changing up his swing to an uppercut swing, and that's what usually – because you don't utilize that unless you're playing men's softball, really.
Yeah.
And even then, really, you still swing through the ball. It's a more effective tactic. I think guys like him, guys like Adam Duvall, who had one of the most compact swings that I've ever seen for a home run hitter. He's been one of the biggest surprises. We covered that in a couple shows ago in Major League Baseball. So I think guys like him, it's not going to affect them too much. What do you think, Bri?
I don't think it really is. Stanton, he's a machine. It's only a matter of time before he just starts lighting it up. Putting up 24 in the first round. 61 total.
It's ridiculous.
He's a machine.
Absolutely insane.
And I'm only saying it's a matter of time because he might have one of the best swings in baseball since Ken Griffey Jr. But that's just my opinion on that.
Right. Who, the only three-time winner of this competition, and we'll get to a little bit of that history a little bit later in this recap. Moving on to sort of if you went from the heavyweights, if you're considering the heavyweights, Giancarlo and Mark Trumbo, well, maybe the cruiserweights here battling with Will Myers and Adam Duvall. Will Myers, and I said this in my article, was really my dark horse to win this competition and have two back-to-back hometown guys win this home run. He knows the park. He could be a really good home run hitter in that context. So what was funny is when he got drilled by his brother who was pitching. I've never seen somebody get hit by a pitch in the home run derby.
That's great.
But
you gotta love that.
Absolutely. but see, the problem with him, like I was mentioning before, that Stanton didn't have, is that uppercut swing created too many high arcing shots, which wasted a lot of the time off the clock. And that matters a lot when you're just trying to get as many home runs. Outs don't matter.
Yeah, that's true. It definitely, like you said, it wastes a lot of time. So it definitely hurt his numbers. This was a close battle against Duvall too, so it was 11-10 finish.
Right.
But Yeah, like you said, it all depends on what you're swinging with. I mean, those uppercuts, they could definitely hurt you. You know, too much air time is going to, like you said, give you less time for more home runs. So.
Right, absolutely. And Duvall, as I sort of alluded to before, ensured that it wouldn't be back-to-back hometown players winning this competition.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I liked about this year. It was close. All the rounds except for Stanton's first round, they were all close.
They're all one home run.
Pretty much, they're all within striking distance. I don't know what happened to Cano. Cano just kind of
he got abused.
He was legitimately on his All-Star break. He only put up 7. He was the only one that hit less than 10. But it makes it competitive, and I think that makes it that much better.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, who knows? Maybe Cano didn't want to mess up his swing. You know what I mean? He's done this before, so you never know.
As we mentioned, this new format creates chock full of strategy. Well, that's a strategy I think that's never gone away. Some guys will just want to represent, maybe hit a couple bombs, make the fans happy, but they're more concerned about what they're doing for their club than what they're doing in an exhibition.
Agreed.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Now, that brings us to our last matchup in the first round, Cargo versus the Todd Father. I may have been wrong about the return of Cargo. I mentioned in my MLB Power Rankings article that everybody's like, oh, Cargo's back. And I was like, that could be a facade.
I hope he's back. He's on my team.
Yeah. I'm rooting against him.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I picked him to win the home run derby. I thought, especially after that bomb he hit against the Phillies on Sunday, I thought his stats show otherwise.
He looked impressive, man.
He did. But unfortunately, had to face, New Jersey's own Todd Frazier, which is never easy.
A lot of people give him credo from Tom's River. I'm going to say, if I said it once, I've said it 100 times. He's from Point Pleasant, people. I'm a little biased. Family in Point Pleasant.
Well, born in Point Pleasant, but, whatever.
He played for the Tom's River team, so that's where he's going to give credo. But, the bottom line is a champ would not be denied. He showed good strategy when he was in striking distance by taking his time. He was a couple homers down at about 45, 48 seconds left, and him and his pitcher were like, even with taking the time out, still gave him breathers in between the pitches and just enough to get that one extra. Because who cares? I mean, it's impressive that Giancarlo put up 61 and 24 in the first round, but as long as you're one more than your opponent, you're kind of almost wasting energy at that point. But if you go first, you're going to hit as many as possible. It's all about that situation where you have like just like in baseball, last up's home team. This is the defending champ. He's going to have last ups in every round.
Yeah, no, and I think that gives Todd Frazier a little bit of an advantage, or whoever's batting the second half. You see the number. You don't set the number. You see the number, and if you're Duvall and you see Myers put up 10, that's nothing against Will Myers because, the home run derby is not exactly easy, but I think you have the advantage going second.
I always like going second. That is just personally, with anything I like to do, I usually like going second, see what I have to do first, and it definitely benefits you because you already know you saw what they made mistakes on. You saw how you could improve for yourself, and obviously for a lot of these guys, it benefited them.
Yeah, so. I agree.
Real quick question that just popped in my head, boys. You have a fantasy player that's participating in the home run derby. You in for that, or would you rather your fantasy players get that break, if not at least from the 2 days, maybe even the whole break altogether?
That's a tough question, but honestly, I could really care less. You know, I mean,
really, I had to bring it back to fantasy somehow.
No, I know, but it really wouldn't alter me at all in any way. Like I said, I talked about the swing could be different, but like I said, sometimes this could benefit players. It keeps them swinging as well. Like a lot of the other guys, they aren't playing until the All-Star game.
Right.
So they're keeping their bats going while the other guys are sitting there. So I mean, they got one extra at bat. So to me, it could definitely benefit them. But like I said before, it can alter their swing. Ultimately, bring down their home run count too. So
right. Brian, what's your take?
I mean, personally, I would rather my fantasy players be getting the rest that they need to get ready and set up for the second half run.
Right.
But it's fun to watch them go. Some of the best hitters in all of baseball, and in a home run hitting exhibition, it's fun.
I sort of ride a fence on this one. Big surprise, right? As much as I want them to have a break because it's more important what they're doing in the regular season for the club and for my fantasy team, it depends on the player. Some guys need that constant activity. If they shut it down for a little bit, maybe they come back cold after the All-Star break. Others, that break allows them to kind of continue along their pace. So it really depends on the player for me. Younger players, I'm all for it. Older players, and especially in this format, even heard Big Poppy when he joined the broadcaster booth go, yeah, this is now a home run derby for 20-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that. It's you step up to the plate, you have 5 minutes, swing as many times as you can.
I would have loved to see. Sorry, go finish.
No, I mean, it's not for guys like Big Poppy anymore.
Right.
I would have loved to see him get up and do one swing,
Absolutely.
Go one more time. That would have been awesome way to go out.
Real quick, mentioning our fan poll question, should the fans determine the MLB All-Star Game starters, which is going down 8 p.m. tonight, simple yes or no. You can chime in on Facebook. You can chime in on Twitter at HEDradio_com. And we have Bob Lewandowski, a good friend of mine from way back in the day. What's up, Bob? Thanks for listening to the show. He says in a word, no.
And simple as that.
Right. And we'll give our views later on in the show. But let's get back because we still got to cover the semis and finals. So we had Trumbo versus Stanton, and this heavyweight battle did not disappoint, finishing 17-14. It took a little bit of a Trumbo comeback to make it closer at that, but man, that was a good matchup. That almost seemed like the finals to me.
Yeah, Stanton kind of seemed like he was stuttering a little bit in the first part of it, and then he took his timeout. Then after the timeout, he just took off, and that impressed me a lot.
Good call with the timeout right then and there.
Absolutely.
I think the announcer was going, where's his Marlins teammates? Tell him to take a timeout, and then after the next pitch, he calls timeout.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I think the only question for me was, would Stanton hit the Petco Park scoreboard, which was never done before, but Trumbo hit it first.
Trumbo did hit it first.
But I mean, you said 24 in the first round. He had 41 after 2 rounds, which tied a home run derby record. And then, of course, we know the 61 he put up total was a new home run record.
Record held by former Philly Bobby Abreu, set in 2005.
Check out the big brain on Brian.
Well, being a Phillies fan, though, you got to know that.
Sure.
But how can this is where, when it comes to records, it's different, though, now because of the time. They were working with the 9-out and then the money ball.
Right.
So, to me, it's a less opportunity for back then for the home runs. So, I mean, in a way, obviously still give credit to Stanton for, 61 home runs in basically a 15-minute span. That's very impressive because I would be happy to get one. But to me, it's just when it comes to breaking records, times are different. So I want to see what he would have done with those 9 outs and then, like I said, the money ball out.
Right. And then again, like the broadcaster said, which, I was surprised. They were pretty spot on for ESPN. I was very surprised, even Berman. But they had yeah, right. But they had stated that, they had never saw a stronger man since Frank Howard. And, that's a great compliment to Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Absolutely.
Absolute beast.
Now, the other semis was Frazier versus the new kid, Duvall. Well, the Rook did not fold under the pressure with 15 homers. That short, compact swing really benefited him. In the end, we saw another Todd Father roll and did what he needed to do one more time, was just muscling him out by whipping those wrists.
Yeah. Frazier's impressive. This is definitely his thing here. Yeah. I'm sure we'll see him. Maybe we'll see him again next year, too. But it would definitely be a nice showdown to see them go at it again. Well, Duvall and him. We didn't get to the final yet, but definitely Duvall was definitely a bit of a surprise. He came up, started hearing him like early May or so, and the kid's got like 24 home runs or 22 home runs, somewhere between those numbers. But definitely showed up.
Yeah.
Definitely showed up here and, almost took down Frazier. So
Right.
Down goes Frazier.
Yeah. And that brings us nice, well done. That brings us to the finals, of course, and we talked about it a little bit already. You know, Stanton setting the record with 61. Where have I heard that number before? 61. Too much in the end for Frazier to be third ever back-to-back champ. The previous two were Yoenis Cespedes in 2013-14, Ken Griffey Jr. in 98 and 99, and as I said before, won it 3 times overall. And Stanton takes it down 20-13, put up 20 in the finals. That's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, Todd Frazier just stayed consistent with his numbers. You know, considering Stanton hit 24 in the first round, he slowed down in the second, but he came right back with another 20. So, guy's impressive, man. Absolutely impressive.
A beast.
Didn't slow down.
Absolute beast. You know who else is a beast? It's Chris O'Brien from Obie's Catering. He's changing the world one dish at a time. You contact Chris O'Brien, 856-534-8410. You can email him, catering by Obie. That's OBIE at yahoo.com. Or you check him out on Facebook at Catering by Obies. And if you tell him Tom Renone or any of the boys from A2D Radio sent you, you get 20% off. Brian Daly, Mike Kleinkoff, Rob Povia, Fantasy Dominance Now on A2DRadio.com. We'll be back in a few minutes. You're listening to the worldwide leader of Real Talk, A2DRadio.com.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by Romeo's Termite and Pest Control. Family owned and operated, Romeo's only employs the safest, most effective methods to rectify your situation. Whether it's at your house or at your commercial residence, no matter what the concern may be, they'll get the job done. Raccoons, squirrels, bed bugs, termites, you name it, they'll take care of it. Satisfaction guaranteed. Give them a call at 856-341-3927 or look them up on Facebook at Romeo's Pest Control or visit their website at www.romeospestcontrol.com, your local pest control provider. A2DRadio.com is sponsored by Martino Roofing. With more than 15 years of roofing experience, they have all the services that you need, whether it's new construction, tear-offs, replacements, or re-roofs for your residential or commercial business. They will provide a detailed service in a timely and professional manner. So you can give them a call for a free consultation at 609-792-5103. Send them an email at martinoroofing@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.martinoroofingllc.com. The number again is 609-792-5103. Martino Roofing.
This is Tom Arnone, owner and founder of A2DRadio.com. What if I told you I knew the best caterer in the business? Well, I'm not going to lie to you. It's Obie's Catering. You can contact Obie's Catering at cateringbyobie@yahoo.com or give Chris O'Brien a call at 856-534-8410. From graduations to wedding rehearsals to just if you need food cooked in your house. He'll do it all. He's trying to change the world one dish at a time. That's Obie's Catering. Chris O'Brien, 856-534-8410. Tell him Tommy A from A2DRadio.com sent you, and you'll get 20% off.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Welcome back to today's Fantasy Dominance Now here on A2DRadio.com. Brian Daly, Mike Kleinkoff, Rob Povia, bringing you all the dominance to help you win in everything fantasy sports. Now, if you want in on the dominance, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search A2DRadio.com. If you got specific fantasy questions, we got your answers right over here. Tweet at us with the hashtag AskFDN. I'm at RobbieBLTZ. Mike is at Mike_Kleinkoff, and Brian is at Brian_A2D Radio. We asked you on our Twitter poll, what do you feel should determine the MLB All-Star Game starters? Should the fans determine it? Yes or no? Really simple. We'll get to your voice at the end of the show. But let's take a brief time out, boys. What's your opinion, Mike? Should the fans determine the MLB All-Star Game starters?
To me, personally, no. And the reason I say this is because look at the NL. All right, we have 5, or actually 7, I think, Cubs, if I'm not mistaken, that actually were voted in.
Right.
And there's 4 starting, right? They're all infield.
The whole
infield, yeah. Because you got Bryant, Russell, Zobrist, and Rizzo, all starting in the infield, which to me is absolutely ridiculous. Okay? And the only reason I say this is because, say, like the 7 guys that I'm talking about, however many more roster spots there is, there's already 7 guys just from one team. There's 15 teams in each conference, each league. So, and I don't know. To me, it's not as exciting because you want to see a bunch of different guys from different teams bringing their talents to work together.
Right.
And, the only thing that I do like about it is the winner of the game gets the home field advantage in the World Series.
Right.
But it's just the fact that you're loading the team up with one team. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Cubs are having a phenomenal year. I mean, they're slow as of late, but to overload it with one team is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and that's what brought up this question for us. I mean, you have 7 Cubs. You're absolutely right. Dexter Fowler won't be competing due to injury. But yeah, you have Rizzo at first, Zobust, as some people say.
He's having a good season.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
not as good as Daniel Murphy, though. Daniel Murphy, I mean, is it
we'll
pains me to say? Yeah, absolutely. We will get to him. The one thing I will say, I can't all agree on it, right, is that this game is for the fans.
Yeah. So
why not have it be determined by the fans? Who ruins it is when they start these social media movements to have something ridiculous happen, like 7 Cubs being, and like our thumbnail kind of indicates, it's like watching a Cubs game, and that's not why you watch an All-Star Game. But the fans in Chicago wanted to see it, and they got their wish.
I mean, I don't think the fans should have the vote for, look at the NHL All-Star Game for the reason you just said. These social media, let's get, some guy that doesn't deserve to be there anyway, like the NHL did with John Scott. The guy had no reason to be in an All-Star Game. Some, for lack of a better word, some moron started as like, hey, let's get John Scott started. And it just started rolling and rolling and rolling. And, You know, I don't blame Gary Bettman for not wanting to get John Scott in there because why should he be there?
Yeah, he's
What
done
has he
nothing,
done?
Really,
He's
in
got
his
like
career.
4 career goals.
Yeah. It's just a
But
game.
and it's the same thing with baseball. Like every year, there's always one team that's overrepresented over a team that has guys that deserve to be there. And starting Daniel Murphy of the Washington Nationals, example number 1. That don't get it. They get snubbed.
Dan Gray on our Facebook page chimes in with a good scenario. Input, yes. Final say, no. So maybe the fans can sort of elect who's eligible to start, and then the manager trumps it like the starting pitcher.
I absolutely
I like that idea.
I definitely like that idea for sure. But yeah, like the year before it was all Royals. You know, it was all Royals players, and it's like we don't want to see that. You know, we saw them in the World Series. We don't want to see that, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. With that, we're going to pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now.
You're listening to A2D Radio. A2D Radio. A2D Radio. At A2DRadio.com.
And welcome back. Keep those comments coming on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram page. You just search A2DRadio.com. You can even comment live on YouTube as well during our live broadcast. We're broadcasting live. It's 1:31 p.m. on a Tuesday. But the great thing about A2DRadio.com is if you're stuck at work right now, you can listen to us tonight, maybe right before the All-Star Game starts. Get yourself in game shape.
I like that. I like it.
All right, so we talked about, the overall home run derby and this All-Star Game or whatnot, but it's time, we are a fantasy sports show, and yearly at this time we like to give our list of fantasy All-Stars for the first half. Will they correspond to what we see tonight? Will they be a little different? Well, we're going to have to wait and find out. So we're going to first start off and break down the infield. And another guy I was considering for the thumbnail for this show, and happens to be who my catcher selection is one Wilson Ramos. And I know Mikey has a little, he's flipping me off because I got him in a trade earlier this year. But, I mean, Matt Wieters hasn't been bad either.
Oh, I dropped him once you gave him to me.
Did you drop him?
Yeah. Right now I have Yachty.
You have Yachty?
Yeah. I mean,
I think Wieters has picked it up recently. He might be a step up over Yachty.
The only reason I did the trade with Ramos was because I had Cervelli.
Right.
But right now Cervelli's on a DL, which kind of bit me in the ass. But, it definitely sucks considering now Ramos is having, a career year for himself. But
filthy.
We're going to hope that Cervelli gets back onto the field soon. But Yadier Molina's, he's not doing bad. He gets me a couple points a night. So
This is truth. One thing about Wilson Ramos, and this is exceptionally valuable in fantasy, he doesn't sit that much. And usually with a catcher, you have to deal with that unless they're first base eligible, kind of a la Buster Posey, where if he's not, right?
That's exactly where I was going to go.
Well, that's segue right into your catcher, absolutely.
Well, no, like you were saying, Buster Posey's another guy. He doesn't sit much, so he's always playing, which is great. And he's also first base eligible, too.
Right.
So if he's not doing that, you have him playing first base. But then again, you got to look at a guy like Brandon Belt, who's having a career year as well at first base. So
right.
But yeah, that's
final vote recipient.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, took Marte out. Marte's a reserve. But
yeah.
Which kind of sucks for, the Buccos, but
I think what sucked is it took out Trevor Story. I think Trevor Story hands down. I know he slowed up from the beginning, but I think he was a big snub. But that was a topic for another show. We don't want to be repetitive. Here's the question though: does Posey have a 918 OPS like Wilson Ramos? That's insane for a catcher. Insane for the woman.
For the woman. No, but I don't know. I still love Posey. I mean, the Giants are the best team in baseball right now, and he's definitely one of the reasons why.
Right.
He's got a bat. Most catchers, they're average hitters, but to me, Buster Posey is a guy that's above average.
Right.
So
absolutely. No,
he's always on my roster for an All-Star.
I mean, I said I have him on my team now, so maybe I go with him a little bit. I'm a little more familiar, but I think I'm a little bit more sympathetic to Wilson Ramos because let us not forget a few years ago he was a kidnap victim in his home country. So, I mean, talk about coming back and coming back strong.
It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. So Posey is your catcher for your all fantasy team.
Yeah, I mean, I there's nothing better than having Buster Posey on your team. I just every time he's available, it's a guy I always want to grab. But especially like daily fantasy, I love him for daily fantasy. I mean, he's always a guy that's consistent. He's a guy that he won't strike out a lot. He'll get a lot of base hits. And the Giants are a team that scores a lot. They average 5-6 runs a game. So 9 times out of 10, it's going to be Posey's going to be in one of those runs, one of those RBIs. So that's why I like picking Giants players, to be honest. So
I got you.
I like going Crawford, Belt, and Posey. I don't know what it is, but I go with those 3.
Something about Brandon Crawford. I love him. And I don't know what it is.
The hair?
Maybe. It might be.
We all fall in love with the hair.
His hot-ass wife.
I've never even seen his wife, to be honest with you.
His wife, I think, is the sister of another. Is it Garrett Cole's sister that it's his wife?
I think so.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about that because I know there's some kind of relation between that.
I'm like 95% sure that's what it is because I remember them facing each other and the wife was very conflicted. Do I root for my brother? Do I root for my husband?
That was like during the time that it was back in football. It was Brady Quinn, I think, was dating. Rather, it was A.J. Hawk's sister or Brady Quinn's sister.
Right.
One of them were dating, so she had a half Notre Dame, half Ohio State jersey with their number on it.
Right. Well,
So-
this isn't a dating game. Let's
No,
move on.
I know. But I'm just saying.
Brian, who's your starting catcher?
The one and only Jonathan Lucroy.
Wow, nice.
Batting .304, 11 home runs, 42 RBIs, 16 doubles.
I say nice. I don't agree with you, but it's just on our first position we had 3 different nominees.
I love it.
I wasn't expecting as much of a disparity as we just got in the first position. That's awesome.
No, I mean, I think he's having a great year. His OPS is .853. So, he's getting those singles, but he's also getting those timely doubles, couple triples. He's got home runs. He's knocking in runs. For me, it's Jonathan Lucroy. No doubt.
I like it.
Diggs.
I mean, I like it.
I think if you have any one of these catchers on your fantasy team, you're set.
Agreed.
You're set in that position.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed.
No backup necessary.
No. And Lucroy's played 81 games so far, so, he's going to be playing about 75, 80, 85% of the time.
Cool.
So,
Well, moving up the first base line, we're going to stick right with you, Brian. Who's your starting first baseman?
Kansas City Royal, Eric Hosmer.
Wow.
299 average. Gets on base. He's probably one of the best defensive first basemen in the league. I don't think there's any doubt to that one.
Yeah, I mean, he had a slow start and then certainly picked it up.
Another one of my guys that I got rid of.
Right. After the slow start, hey, sometimes you sell too quickly on a guy. It's baseball, unlike fantasy football, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But
I'm trying to think who I got for him now. I got somebody good. Oh, no. I can't remember.
if you can't remember, then you got hosed.
No.
Pretty much. No, I kind of agree with that statement. If you can't remember, the deal must not have been that
I've
good.
done so many trades in our
Yes,
league
you
this
have.
year that it was for a pitcher. I know for a fact it was for a pitcher. It wasn't for Carlos Martinez.
Well, win or lose, man, thank you for being a good addition to the league by being, trade-oriented. We like that.
I tried.
We like that.
I
in the
think
All-Star Fantasy
Aaron
Baseball League.
Sanchez.
Aaron Sanchez? No, that's a good. Oh, no. He did not get hosed. I'm a big fan of Aaron
The
Sanchez.
9-1 this year. Aaron Sanchez, yeah.
man.
That's I know for a fact that had to have been him.
The one issue might be is there's some talk that they might move him to the bullpen. That's the one. But hey, he might be valuable
But
there for you.
because you know what? I'm lacking relief pitching.
Right.
So
Get some holds.
yeah.
Holds have value in our,
Hey
in our
man,
league.
when I did that trade with O for Bratch,
Right.
that's probably one of the best things I did. Bratch has been so good for me lately,
Nice.
which is
Awesome.
awesome. Almost 300 points as a setup pitcher, so that's big.
What first baseman has been well for you? Who's on your starting
Well,
lineup?
I personally have Brandon Belt
Yeah.
as my first baseman. I mean, he's like I said, he's having a career year. I told you guys, I like these San Francisco boys. Not in that way, but you know what I'm saying.
Fabulous comment.
Because they're up there.
We support gay rights here on Fantasy Dominance.
But listen,
now,
agreed.
ATD Radio.
Brandon Belt, I mean, 5 triples this season, which is phenomenal. I don't know if anybody else is even that close to it, but 302 batting average, 47 RBIs right now, 10 home runs. Absolutely a solid player. I mean, like I said, he's another guy that's, he was one of the last votes, as we said. He's just, to me, I like Brandon Belt, but, as a runner-up, I also have Eric Hosmer. Like I said, Brian was saying, 299, 13 home runs this season. So,
But does either one?
476 slugging percentage. Sorry to cut you
That's
off.
okay. Numbers are important on this show.
yeah.
Wait it up, new boy, rookie, newbie.
Yeah, rookie.
Newbie.
we gotta haze you a little bit.
That's all good.
My question to you boys: does either one of them have a 1.006 OPS?
No, but I want to hear
No.
who does.
Well, here's where I'm in conjunction with who's starting tonight, Anthony Rizzo.
Okay.
Rizzo, playing for Team Italy in the WBC, even though you're American. 21 homers, 63 RBIs. At first, his home run output was a little bit on the light side. He struggled a little bit, but he certainly has stepped it up in his power numbers. But the bottom line is, 299 average. He's been making contact like Rizzo can do. 63 ribbies on the season. Man, I mean, again, maybe I'm starting to read off my 11-2 fantasy team right now. It's 11 wins, 2 losses, guys, in case you're counting at home. I think it's got to be Rizzo here for fantasy and the game tonight. We talked about having too many Cubs. This is one that belongs there.
Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely another guy that needs to be mentioned. But, yeah, Rizzo's, 21 home runs is a lot,
Right.
for a first baseman. So
Absolutely.
I'll definitely take it.
Now we get to what we had alluded to before, the big second base debate. And certainly we're going to speak in a fantasy context here. So I like to double up, get a nice little double play, turning it at second base.
Yeah.
Mike, who's your starting second baseman?
The
Fantasy?
Met killer. The Met killer. 348, 17 home runs, 66 ribbies. I mean, Daniel Murphy is – I can't believe he's still batting 348 halfway through the season. That's where I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen somebody batting this consistently throughout this whole season. And it's sad to say because, when I thought of this show, I thought we were going to do an AL, NL rundown, so I have my guys for both teams. But, I mean, you can't forget I don't know what you guys have. I don't want to say any names, so I'm going to let you guys go because you guys might have them.
I have Daniel Murphy too. I got to be realistic. These numbers don't lie, just like Miss Cleo. The problem I have with Daniel Murphy, I'm excited for him. I'm glad that he's continuing the level that he was outputting when he was wearing a Mets jersey, right? What I don't like about him is him acting like a bitter ex-girlfriend every time he's playing the Mets, celebrating like it's Game 5 of the World Series every time. I mean, my dad brought up that, well, he celebrated like that on the Mets too, and you didn't have a problem then. I'm like, I don't think it was this extravagant. He's got a hard-on for beating the Mets, and some people could say, you don't blame him, but be a freaking professional for Christ's sakes, But fantasy, I'll take him on my team every day.
I got Jose Altuve.
You know what? That was the other guy I have written down for my AL. I mean, how can you not?
Right.
Go
He's
ahead, read
batting
it off.
He's batting 341. He's got a 542 slugging percentage, 14 home runs, 51 RBIs. Come on now.
23 stolen bases too.
And he's arguably the best second baseman in all of baseball.
Yeah.
Easily. And he's very consistent the past couple years anyway. I mean, Houston's come out of nowhere. I remember back when they were part of the NL Central, always being on the bottom, and then the Pirates were on top of them.
And and what's crazy is he's a little guy.
Yeah.
He's not tall at all. He's
Yeah.
like 5'5" or
Yeah.
something like that.
I mean, to have 14 home runs is ridiculous for a
At
guy
5'5"?
his size. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another short, compact swinger.
Yeah, literally.
And then on the baseball field, he does pretty well too.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's the Povia joke that brings the show to a crashing halt.
Pretty much.
I have to. Yeah. No, I catch those all the time.
Almost dropped an F-bomb there. All right, so third base, the hot corner. Brian, who do you got?
Mine's a little bit of a shocker because he's not your typical hot corner type of player. Martin Prado of the Miami Marlins.
Wow, that is a shocker.
He's batting 324. He's not a home run hitter. He's only got 2, but the guy gets on base. He gets a ton of hits, ton of doubles. He steals bases. He's not going to shock and awe you, but he's been one of the more consistent players this year at third base.
And when it comes to fantasy consistency, maybe paramount above high scorers. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Cool. Mike?
To me, this one's easy. It's Josh Donaldson. I mean, 304, 80 runs this season so far. 80 runs, and we're halfway through the season.
Right.
23.
Some of that's a byproduct of the team he's on, but
Very true.
but
very
he's getting
true.
on base to
But
score those runs.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, he's got to get on base to be considered a run, too. So 23 of them are coming from home runs and 63 RBIs. So, I mean, this dude is having another phenomenal season, MVP-like season for the AL.
Solid points.
So, I don't know how you can't go wrong with Donaldson. He's an absolute beast.
I have him on as my third baseman, too, 1.017 OPS. Obviously, you all know that I'm in love with OPS stats because that's all I'm given.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so now the shortstop position. I'm going to double up and go here. Here's my surprise because he's not in maybe the top 8 or 10 in – no, he's in the top 10, but not in the top 5 of fantasy scorers. But since he got snubbed in the All-Star game, I'm putting him on the fantasy All-Star game, and I'm going with Trevor Story. It's story time, folks.
I can see that.
Can't disagree.
I can't disagree with you there, but my picks is Boston Red Sox Xavier Bogaerts.
Oh, yeah.
He's having a phenomenal year.
Bogarts.
329, 475 slugging percentage, 10 home runs, 56 RBIs.
Listen, since Brian brought up Bogarts, you know, I'm going to go with the guy that I chose for the NL. That's going to be – I can't even say his first name, but Aldimas. How do you say it?
Alcides?
Aldimas.
Oh, Diaz. Yeah,
Yeah, however the hell you say it.
Just
but
say Diaz. The last name's
Diaz,
the only thing that counts
you know,
anyway.
the Cardinal shortstop. He's batting .315, 57 runs, 13 home runs, 48 RBIs. I mean, he's another guy that, you know, in fantasy world came out of nowhere. So I got to give it to him. He's for our league anyways, 3.4 points a game, which is, you know, very good for us. For a shortstop, too, anyway. So I like Diaz as much as, you know, I hate the Cardinals, but
Right.
you got to give it for the kid, you know?
As much as I love Story, we're going to have winner Alexander Bogarts because he's also on my fantasy team.
Nice.
You know who should be on my fantasy team, guys?
Me?
BMW of Atlantic City.
Oh.
They challenged its sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save right now. Lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with X-Drive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get to, minutes off exit 37 off the Parkway, and online at bmwatlanticcity.com. On the other side, we're getting into the outfield. Your starting pitching and your closers for your fantasy all-star team. You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now on a2dradio.com, the best all-star team in the world.
This is Tom Arnone, owner and operator of A2DRadio.com and host of Agree to Disagree. If
I like
you wanna
that,
check out
dude.
a ball
Yeah,
game,
they're
there's
off.
no better place than the Philly Sports Bar located 31 South, Black Horse Pike in Runnymede, New Jersey. With over 40 plasma and HD TVs, a brick oven, a 2-story deck, the sports bar has surpassed everyone's expectations. From the one-of-a-kind sports memorabilia to life-size sports figures, the bar stays true to its name. The Philly Sports Bar will provide quality service along with outstanding variety of the finest liquors and well-known beers in a family-friendly environment while remaining true to what they are, the best darn sports bar. That's the Philly Sports Bar, located in Runnymede, New Jersey.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Welcome back to today's Fantasy Dominance now here on A2DRadio.com. Brian Daly, Mike Kleinkoff, Rob Povia. We're all here to offer you dominance in all things fantasy sports. You want in on it? Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search A2DRadio.com. If you got specific questions, tweet at us with the hashtag ASKFDN. If you're just joining us live here, we recapped last night's exciting Home Run Derby. The new rules, again, did not fail in its second year of inception. We also began our All-Star Fantasy lineup. Is it the same as what's going to be tonight? Is it different? Of course it's going to be a little different, because fantasy is purely based on offensive stats, certainly even on the pitching side of toting the rubber. And we're going to continue on with that and bringing you our fantasy all-star rosters, Liberty Event Rentals, for all your party needs. You can give them a call, 267-314-7368. They're located 2154 East Cambria Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And if you're out of the area, you can look them up online, libertyeventrentals.com, because they do deliver tents, tables, anything you need for your big event. Contact Liberty Event Rentals. So let's move on to the outfield. Little angels in the outfield. We'll see if there are any angels out in the outfield. I'd be willing to bet there's at least one. So I'll start it off. This is not an angel, but it's a guy I was so high on to begin in preseason. And I know Doug Fresh argued with me ad nauseum about this guy. Well, I think it's a little mud in his face right now, not to start crap when he can't defend himself, but Mookie Betts, I think, is hands down the best outfield fantasy player in baseball. I mean, just looking at his stats here real quick, 18 homers, 59 RBIs, 304 average. His OPS, 869 is still good, folks. Let's face facts. But, when we're talking in the 900s and even the thousands with some of these other players, maybe that's one area he can improve on. But he's a young player. He's 23 years old. He's got to learn to be a little more disciplined.
A lot of years of him to come.
Absolutely.
And he's only going to get better.
Oh,
yeah. This guy's an absolute stud. He's one of the guys that I have written down. Absolutely phenomenal player. In Boston, they're looking good this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. No doubt about it. You talk about all the Cubs being on. Let us not forget a lot of Red Sox are on the American League squad as well. You mentioned one, Alexander Bogaerts, now Mookie Betts as well.
Yeah, Poppy.
Yeah, Big Poppy. I think if you're electing a utility or DH spot, I think we can all agree.
Oh, yeah.
It's David Ortiz, right?
Gotta be.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Gotta be. That's who I've written down. I wrote a DH spot, Ortiz. Who else would you I wouldn't want to see anybody else, especially his last year going out.
I was about to say in his final season
Yeah.
too.
Putting up the numbers he's putting up in his
He's
final season,
phenomenal.
ridiculous.
Absolutely phenomenal, man.
There's no better designated hitter out in Major League Baseball.
I want him one more year, Poppy. Come on.
Right. And, speaking of retirees, we'll be getting to honoring Tim Duncan later in the show. So if you're a Hoops fan, you definitely want to stick around for that.
For sure.
Absolutely. So, Brian, who's your first outfielder?
Does it matter which position in the outfield?
No, keep it general because, sometimes in some leagues they have it specific to left, center, and right. But those leagues are bullshit, in my opinion. I like to have 3 outfield spots. So wherever you want, man.
All right, so left fielder Michael Saunders. He's having a fantastic year. He's doing wonderful things in Toronto. He's batting .298, 16 home runs, 42 RBIs. I believe he was a final vote winner, or did he not get the final vote?
I think he's like a reserve.
I know he's not a starter.
I think he's like a reserve.
But
like
did he get? Correct me if I'm wrong. But did he not get that AL final vote?
I think you're right. I'm not 100% positive. I'm actually looking that up right now as we speak.
I'm like 98% sure.
On that one. I'm not 100% sure.
98% is good enough for me.
Yeah.
I'm 98% sure because I saw on MLB Network when they announced him. I'm like 98% sure Saunders was the final vote getter. But he's having a fantastic season, and I think he deserves it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, no doubt about it. Hey, if we're wrong, let us know we're wrong. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we're everywhere. A2DRadio.com is where you can find us.
Please, I'm humble. I'll admit when I'm wrong.
Absolutely. So that's a good one. I like your style. Certainly he's not on my top 3. I think there's 3 better, but, leave some room for, Mikey.
All right, well, this guy is outfield eligible, first base eligible, and DH eligible.
Which makes his value even higher, right?
Yes, and this is one of your boys and a guy that you've been high on all season long, leading the league in home runs this year, and that's Mark Trumbo.
Yeah, man.
28 home runs, 288. I mean,
how did I not put Trumbo on my list? What am I, a freaking moron? That's
nuts.
a great. Oh my goodness.
You have to. I'm
agreeing to disagree with myself.
I mean, he's not on my list. I'll be honest with you right now.
I only have him just because, you could have put him as a first baseman as well.
Right.
But just simply because he's leading the league in home runs right now, and a guy he's batting .288, somebody who we normally see in like the 250s. A guy that's, not – he's known for the home runs, but he's not known for being consistent with the home runs and being an average hitter like he is this season. So
right. No,
Gotta go Trumbo.
Oh, yeah, no, I feel you, man. I absolutely feel you. I think another reason why you'd go Trumbo there as well is how much he's cut down his strikeout rate. That when he was off to the hot start, a lot of fantasy experts, not me, because the other ones are dumb, and they came out and said that he's not going to be able to maintain this because of his past career numbers. And I get that. That usually is an indication that a player will regress, so you may want to sell high on a player. I knew he wouldn't regress because of the lineup he's hitting in. He's going to see a lot more hittable pitches and less sliders in the dirt because do you want to face Chris Davis? Do you want to face Adam Jones? Do you want to face Trumbo? Do you want to face Manny Machado? It's like Murderer's Row, reincarnate.
Agreed.
Thank you.
That's why we're here.
That's right.
It's also why Baltimore is one of the top teams in the league right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to give an obvious one here for my second outfielder, and that's one Mike Trout.
Easy.
Yeah, he's easy. He's great in real life. He's great in fantasy. I'm sure he's great in the sheets too. So the ladies in Millville say.
I'm beginning to worry about you a lot, Rob.
I can't wait till we go back on video because Brian's facial expressions and some of the things I say are priceless. Priceless.
I'm worried about you, Rob. I'm very worried about you. But yeah, I was going to save him for last, but since you brought him up, he's my center fielder. 322 average. Slugging percentage is .567, 18 home runs, 58 RBIs. It's Mike Trout. a pure 5-tool player.
Right, and we've seen more of those 5 tools this year because he kind of was slipping in the stolen base department, focusing more on his hitting ability as well as the lineup around him. I think had a little something to do with that too. But 15 stolen bases on the year to match 18 homers. Maybe you could say the homers are maybe a little bit down, one could say, based on his past standards.
But, I mean, 18 at the halfway point, that'll put you – if he continues on the pace, that'll put you at 36 for the year.
Right.
It's a respectable number.
Right. And, I mean, yeah, it is respectable. I mean, last year he had 41, 36 the year before that. So, okay, all right. Yeah, he's right on par. I take that statement back. He's right on point with homers.
Another guy, I want to go back to shortstop, and I totally forgot about this guy, Eduardo Nunez.
Yeah.
He's another guy I think you got to bring up, having a phenomenal year. I'm happy he was a free agent in our league until I got him, but
he's where? He's in Minnesota now, right?
Yeah, he's with the Twins. He's batting .321, 12 home runs, 22 stolen bases is a big thing. So, I mean, this guy absolutely average. Average, yeah, absolutely outstanding this year. I mean, I've seen this guy come up with the Trenton Thunder.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've seen him play before. He was always their stud. I absolutely remember seeing a couple of games with him playing. He was always a stud, and now he's
Trenton Thunder, where you're guaranteed to get a seat because no one goes. Hey, I tried to get them to advertise here. They didn't want to listen. They didn't want to listen to me, but whatever.
I love going to the games. This is the first year I didn't go to the opening game in like 4 years. So
okay.
I mean, Eduardo Nunez, his numbers are probably shadowed by the fact that he's on the second worst team in all of baseball.
Yeah.
Right.
So people probably don't realize, like, oh, Eduardo Nunez.
Yeah.
Fantasy players will realize, though.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably the only ones, but, like, since I'm not really on a fantasy baseball team yet, I didn't even think of Eduardo Nunez.
Yeah. A lot of people don't.
A lot of people aren't even going to think of Brian Dozier.
Right. Oh, absolutely. I think with Nunez, the stolen bases really tipped the scales in his favor. Certainly 22 swipes on the year, but he bagged 321, 12 homers, 40 RBIs. These are good numbers. Absolutely. Hey, we're going to pause 10 seconds for station identification. You are listening to Fantasy Dominance Now.
You're listening to A2D Radio. A2D Radio. A2D Radio. At A2DRadio.com.
And we're back here, Fantasy Dominance Now, A2DRadio.com. Brian Daly, Mike Kleinkoff, yours truly, Rob Povia, Tom Arnone joining us in studio, wearing the cool-ass shades. And, hey, I got to give a little reference here. Tom Arnone chiming in on the Facebook page going, hell no, the fans should not decide who the starters are. Also, another station crony, Frank Vespi, goes, no, the results in ballot stuffing and undeserving players. Let the managers decide. Kind of similar to Dan Gray, who chimed in earlier.
Similar to what I'm saying, but I didn't really specify on who should get the vote. But absolutely, the managers pick the pitchers. Why can't they pick the starting lineup?
Right. Exactly. I mean, I think Dan, again, fabulous comment. He really nailed it. That have the fans still have the input to see who's eligible to start and be on the team. And then, the managers, are there because, they got their team to the World Series. So they know a little something about setting a lineup.
Yeah.
Use them.
Exactly.
Right. No doubt about it. All right, so let's pick up where we left off in the outfield. I had said Mike Trout. Brian, who do you got? Oh, you were saying
I was
Mike
with
Trout.
you, Mike Trout.
You were Mike Trout. Mike, who do you got as your second outfielder?
I'm going to go with, considering we've already mentioned all three of the ones that I've had written down, but I'm going to also mention Will Myers.
Oh, yeah.
Will Myers is another guy who's having a phenomenal year fantasy-wise. I mean, 286 batting average, 19 home runs, 61 runs, 60 RBIs. He's having a phenomenal year. I mean, he's also getting stolen bases, too. He's got 15 of those. So,
right.
I mean, overall, he's having a great year. It just sucks that he's on the Padres.
Absolutely. But, I mean, he has found a new home in San Diego. Keep it classy there, folks. And, let us not forget, Will Myers is a waiver wire darling. He was not drafted in a lot of leagues to begin the year. But, man, has he been a good, solid pickup. One of the best, if not the best. Going on to my third outfielder, here's where I kind of strayed away from the obvious ones. And, I had my doubts when he was traded to – was he traded or signed to the Rangers? Ian Desmond.
Signed.
He signed there. Got it. So, he's really performed up and beyond anyone's expectations out there playing in the outfield, a former shortstop. Learning a new position did not diminish the bat, and that's what's important in fantasy. 15 homers, 55 RBIs, 322 average, 899 OPS, which, again, I'm going to go with the OPS above the average. It's nice. So, at 30 years young, Ian Desmond, he's been a great fantasy commodity and belongs on my all-star team.
I like it. Yeah, he's a guy that hasn't, he's been under the radar in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Absolutely. Mikey, who's your third?
I think it's easy, and you can't leave him off the list, is Bryce Harper. I know. I see your face now, but he's not hitting for average this year. He's only batting 256, but fantasy-wise, 19 home runs, 52 RBIs, 13 stolen bases.
I can't deny. I just think he's a scumbag.
Nah, a lot of people do. There it is.
Make baseball fun again.
But, yeah,
cut your hair, hippie.
It's hard not to mention his name when we're talking all-stars. So.
Right. Oh, no. Yeah, no, dude, great suggestion. You have him on your fantasy team. He's a lock.
His average is down, but when he's getting a hit, he's making them count.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
No doubt about it. Brian, who's your third?
Mine's pretty obvious. It's Cargo.
Yeah.
Yeah, 318 average, 19 home runs, 54 RBIs. Slugging percentage is .557. So, again, he's another one that's getting plenty of hits, but he's getting a lot of extra base hits as well.
Right. No, understood. How we doing with time?
We're good.
We're good? All right, let's move on to the men that tote the rubber. This is going to be tough because, man, for me, there's one obvious one, and then maybe there's that's why we selected two.
I don't know if it's obvious.
Well,
Really?
I think both of mine are going to be pretty obvious.
All right. I don't know who to start with. I'm intrigued by both. I'm gonna go with the Steelers fan.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with number one. It's not the guy you're probably thinking of when you think of ace with the Nationals, but he's their second ace, and it's got to be Strasburg. I really like him this season. His record shows that he's 12-0, has 132 strikeouts this year. You can't argue it. You absolutely cannot argue it.
And you can't teach that.
So. To me, Strasburg is having, one of those years again where, obviously the other guy being Scherzer. Scherzer's a strikeout machine.
Right.
But if you're looking for wins and strikeouts as well, Scherzer's record, he's 10-6 while he's 12-0.
Right.
So, if you're going that way, you got to go Strasburg.
Pudding. Yeah. Hey, it's a great suggestion, great nomination to the All-Star team. I think what it really goes to show is a lot of people were critical of the Nationals on how they babied back Strasburg, but look at the results now, as opposed to one Matt Harvey for the New York Mets, who now is out with season-ending surgery. In case any of you folks are living under a rock and didn't hear about that, I don't think the Mets rushed him back, but with their World Series run last year, if the Nationals made the playoffs in the year that Strasburg returned, and they shut him down.
They shut him down for the playoffs too.
Right.
So he didn't get to see any playoff time.
Right. And we'll see if the Nationals are able to get there this year and make that decision fully a wise decision. Brian, who's your first pitcher?
It's like I said, both of mine are obvious. My first one's Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
11-2, 1.79 ERA, struck out 145. Opponents are hitting 185 against him with I can't read my handwriting here. A .73 WHIP.
Yep.
His numbers are fantastic. It's Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
It's enough said right there.
We talked about it a lot, almost ad nauseum on the show, his modern era record for Ks to walks, which now sits at 145 Ks to 9 walks. Tremendous, absolute fantasy asset. I know Tom Arnone is a proud owner of that in our fantasy league.
He is, absolutely.
Lucky him.
He's been talking about maybe trying to work out a deal, getting 3 solid arms for Kershaw.
Hey, I'm always down for business.
Hey, that wouldn't be a bad move to make.
Right.
If you're going to trade Kershaw, you get 3 solid arms for him. That's a hell of a move.
Yeah, it is.
One team that's playoff bound that is looking for one pitcher, one shutdown pitcher, and you're going to make a trade for a Clayton Kershaw, I'd make that deal.
See, I might be a good trade recipient for him because I have a lot of young talent on my team that might get shut down or their innings limit in effect towards the end of this year, but are keeper worthy. So maybe I could trade 3 of those guys to him, get a Kershaw to go with Syndergaard and Chris Sale as my top 3. I think you could already.
You're
chisel
already
my
in
name.
first place, so relax.
Dude, I'm excited because I know you're new to the league, and you might think, well, Povey
Sit
runs
down.
this league. And
Seriously, what?
He got up. I was like, oh, shit, he's going to kick my ass.
pump, baby. No. I can see people saying, like, oh, you create this league and you just dominate in it and you run a fantasy show. Last year, I finished 3rd, and I had to fight to get there. And the year before, I was in 4th or 5th place. The worst team in the league this year won it last year.
Really?
Yeah, so, yeah, it's, fantasy's a bit of a crapshoot sometimes.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, we'll
it absolutely is because you never know what's going to happen. Clayton Kershaw could get hurt and somebody's season's done.
Right, right. And, folks, I just stood up because I had to adjust my shorts, just in case you were wondering.
Okay.
I wasn't trying to fight.
I thought I was getting scared.
Let's do the art.
Started pushing Mikey around a little bit. It was getting scary. I
Right.
hit under the table.
Right. Well, I just mentioned who my second starting pitcher for the squad is, and this one is the one that's debatable because he's not, if you're looking at fantasy points, he's a little bit down there. But what I like is he's really accruing the wins. The Chicago White Sox are really putting up runs for him for the first time in his career with the Chicago White Sox, and that's one Chris Sale. I mean, we know his strikeout numbers are phenomenal, 123 on the season, but now he's 14-3 with a 3.38 ERA and a WHIP of 1.04. How you could debate with me is that, well, didn't this man just give up, I think, like 10 runs or 8 runs to the Atlanta Braves? Like, how does that happen? But everybody has, he gave up 8 runs on 10 hits or whatever. He's been known, he has his blow-ups,
Every pitcher does.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, the Pirates beat Kershaw.
Right,
Okay,
right.
put up 4 runs on him in the first 3
The
innings.
Phillies lit up Madison Bumgarner,
Right.
who's number 2 on my list, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
Okay.
So,
I like it.
Beautiful segue.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, Phillies blew up Bumgarner. At the time, the Phillies were on one of the biggest cold streaks in all of baseball. And this all of a sudden, you're going to come out against arguably one of the best pitchers in baseball, and you're going to light him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, pitchers are going to have their quirks, but where you can improve your quirks if you're a young pitcher is at the Scanzano Sports Center, which is located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can call 856-889-3434 or look them up online, scanzanosports.com. Now, right before we hit the break, folks, we got to give a closer. We got to throw a closer in there. I mean, you could say, well, relief pitchers, it doesn't have to be a closer to be valuable. We're going to stick to a closer. And right away, I'm going to give mine. Here's my 1 homer pick right here. Jerry's Familia. How can you argue with 47 straight saves going back to last year, which is a Mets record? And, man, we're talking Eric Gagne level almost. I think he had 56 in a row. I think.
Wow.
Don't quote me on that, but.
His streak was pretty long, but I don't remember. I think he hit 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
definitely in
remember
the 50s. But, I mean, 31 this year straight in a row. Yeah, sometimes he has a bit of a high whip. He's walked and gave up hits more so than he did last year. He's got a 1.2 whip, but that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
2.55 ERA and 41 Ks in those 31 saves. He's on the All-Star team, and he's on my fantasy All-Star team as well as my fantasy team.
Nice.
Mikey, who's your closer?
I mean, I wrote down Familia as well, but
Okay.
another guy you got to mention is the Shark Tank, Mark Melanson. I mean, he's 27 saves this season, so I mean, the Pirates are getting back. They're coming back.
Why are they calling the Shark Tag?
I don't know.
Is it a big San Jose Sharks fan?
I don't know. I honestly, they always called him the Shark. Well, they called our bullpen the Shark Tank.
Homework assignment for next week's show.
Yeah.
Why do
honestly,
they call him
you know what?
Melanson?
It's bad.
I like that.
It's
I like
bad
that.
you're asking me trivia about my team and I don't even know. But I don't know where the hell they get sharks from. I mean, I guess maybe the Buccos, they're pirates, and sharks swim around them. I don't know. We'll go with that.
That sounds good. Sounds like a good excuse.
Brian, your closer?
Zach Britton, 27 for 27. He's got an ERA under 1 in 32 or 37 innings, and he's 2-1.
I like it. I have him down as my AL closer.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he's the best closer in baseball right now.
Big reason why the Orioles are number 1 in the AL East.
Definitely.
Certainly. You know who's number 1 in all vehicle dealerships? That's the BMW of Atlantic City dealership. And they challenge its sales team because they don't take second place in anything in life. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save. Right now, lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get to, minutes off of exit 37 off the Garden State Parkway, or you can check them out online, bmwofatlanticcity.com. On the other side, we're paying tribute to the man, the myth, the big fundamental, Tim Duncan. This is Fantasy Dominance Now here on A2DRadio.com. If you have an upcoming wedding, bar mitzvah, or high school graduation and you're in need of catering, well, contact Obie's Catering today. Chris O'Brien is changing the world one dish at a time. You can give him a call, 856-534-8410. Email him cateringbyobie, that's OBIE @yahoo.com, or look him up on Facebook at Catering by Obie's. And if you tell him Tom Arnone or any of the boys from A2DRadio.com sent you, you get 20% off. If you want some fine catering, contact Obie's Catering today.
Hi, this is Matt Sudi of the Hockey Happy Hour. And if I want a night out in the town, but I don't want to miss the Flyers, there's only one place I'm going to, the Philly Sports Bar. Located in 31 South Black Horse Pike in Runnymede, New Jersey, it has over 40 plasma and HD TVs with a brick oven and a 2-story deck. This sports bar has truly surpassed everyone's expectations. For the one-of-a-kind sports memorabilia to the life-size sports figures, this bar stays true to its name. The Philly Sports Bar also provides a quality service along with an outstanding variety of the finest liquors and well-known beers with a family-friendly environment for everyone, while remaining true to what they are, the best darn sports bar. So check out the Philly Sports Bar. You can give them a call at 856-939-4322, send them an email at info@phillysportsbar.com, or check out their website at www.phillysportsbar.com. That's the Philly Sports Bar in Runnymede, New Jersey. A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet, located at 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey, with over 40 years of customer experience giving the latest in uniforms and equipment to sports enthusiasts of baseball, softball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, and much more. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or send them an email at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit their website at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all of your sporting needs.
And welcome back to today's Fantasy Dominance Now here on A2DRadio.com, being powered by Harry's Contracting for professional home improvement. Give Harry Ernst a call at 609-638-6336 or email Harry at harryscontractingimprovements@gmail.com. He's more of a professional than I am when I misspeak on the word professional. Brian Daly, Mike Kleinkopf, Rod Povia, bringing you all the Fantasy Dominance. You know, if you haven't heard our names yet, you've heard them now. 3 major players, major experts in the fantasy sports world. If you want to dominate in all things fantasy, tweet us with the hashtag AskFDN. You can like the station on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search A2DRadio.com. So before we wrap this pupper up, we got to give it to the people. what did they say when we asked them on Twitter? Should the fans determine the MLB All-Star Game starters? And there is still 1 hour left if you want to jump in on at A2DRadio_com and have your vote be heard. Our Twitter poll is being brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, your certified public accountants, located at 301 Oxford Valley Road, Yardley, PA. You can give them a call and schedule an appointment, 215-369-3300. They're there for you all year round. Tax time is not just in April, folks. You're running a small business. You need Gibson Mayer, LLC. So, without further ado, with 67% of the vote, the people say, no, the fans should not determine the MLB All-Star Game starters. We have intelligent fans here at A2DRadio.com because
I was just about to say the same thing. I really was. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, we got smart fans at A2D. Like, the smart people come to us.
yes.
I love it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. 33%. Like I said before, in defense, this game is for the fans. Why shouldn't it not be determined by the fans? That's the only point that I can hear on this. But like we mentioned earlier, have them select the eligible players for the game and then have the manager set the starters.
I agree to that. I like that scenario. Vote, you get the players eligible, manager select the starting lineup.
Right,
Definitely
absolutely.
agree.
Thank you all for voting on our Twitter poll. And like I said, 1 hour left if you want to chime in. Let me check Facebook really quickly, see if we have any more people chiming in so I can give actual names. Because we love when people comment. You know, you can vote yes or no or, you know, pick your selection. But, you know, be heard. Be on the radio. Give a call in. Give a tweet in. You know, this is what we're here for. No, nothing more on the Facebook. So we are going to move on. Normally at this stage of the program, you know, just to recap, gave a nice home run derby recap to begin the show off. We gave you who our fantasy all-star team is. You can always rewind if you just tune in live, start at the beginning of the show, or you can cap off the show and then go back and listen to the beginning. We're truly on demand. We're everywhere. We're A2DRadio.com. So, as I was about to say, normally at this part of the program, we give our kings, jacks, and jokers. Well, we just have one king this week, and that's one Tim Duncan.
That's the man. Tim Duncan is the man, better known as the big fundamental. But, yeah, 19 seasons with the Spurs. I mean, there was nobody else better on that team to watch than Tim Duncan. I mean, like I said, 19 years. That's all you really have to say. He's one of three guys, you know, John Stockton and Kobe Bryant, to do 19-plus years with a team. So, that's what I was going to say something else with one of three players. I know there's a lot of stats with one of three players, but he won 1,001 games with the team, which was also one of three players to do it with Kareem and Robert Parrish.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, the guy, I mean, if it wasn't for him being on the court, I don't think they would have won as many finals as they did. But absolutely.
Three, right? They won 3 finals?
Five.
Oh, he was
MVP
at 3.
of 5
Gotcha.
finals, or 3 finals, yes. He was a 5-time champion, 2-time league MVP. He averaged 19 points a game. He finished 14th all-time in points. He averaged almost 11 rebounds a game, which finished 6th for most rebounds all-time, and 2.2 blocks per game, which he finished 5th all-time for blocks. I think he had like over 3,000 blocks in his career. You
know, one thing that I was surprised at seeing is, I mean, I know he played 19 years. It's a tremendously long career. I mean, one less year than Kobe Bryant. But that he's 40 years old. I mean, playing that long into your 40s. And I'm going to be honest, basketball is not my favorite sport, but I do think it's the most athletic sport. You have to have your body in the greatest shape to play running up and down the court.
Especially being a big man like him, too, man. His knees have to be killing him.
Right.
You know, and it's just – and another thing is, too, we talk about the age. You know, we have guys now that, you know, like him retiring at 40, that means he came into the league when he was 21. You know, now you have kids coming into the league when they're 19. So they're having that, you know, potential year or two more to play and possibly retire early. You know, like Kobe retiring at 38. You know, he played 19 years or 20 years, but he came right out of high school.
Right.
You know, a lot of the kids now, like I'm saying, are one and done in college, where, you know, Tim Duncan plays a couple of years in college. You know, Jordan plays a couple of years in college. You know, another guy, played 4 years with North Carolina. So,
no doubt about it. You know, one thing I do want to just share the thoughts of one Brian Wilson from Agree to Disagree. He posted up on his Facebook page, the big fundamental what a great player with no huge ego. Notice how he quietly retired. Didn't have the worship me all year ride off that Kobe did this year. Just a guy who went about his business every day and was a superstar. Take note, young players. Take note. I did.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I read that quote that Brian had earlier, too, and I completely agree. I mean,
He also said greatest power forward of all time. Do you agree?
Yeah, it's definitely tough, but how can you not? I mean, the way that everybody decides of how good somebody is by their ring count, and
Right.
that's 100% the truth. Because if we were just looking at numbers right now, we could say LeBron's a top 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if that's all we're gonna look at is rings, then if we're doing ring count, Bill Russell's number 1. You know, then you got Jordan, and then you're gonna talk, between Kobe and Duncan. So, I mean, definitely Tim Duncan. It's sad to say because we've never put him in our top 5. You know, when you talk about top 5s of all time, you never see his name in there. But now that he's retired and you look back at his career, it's hard to say that he's not. I mean, right now, it's really hard to say.
Right.
But the people that I've watched, he's got to be. You know, from when I've started watching basketball and probably, when I was about 8 years old, around 2000, what would that be, like 2004, 2003, somewhere around there. That's when I started watching basketball. I mean, the main guys were Kobe, Duncan, LeBron was just coming to the league. Wade's in the league. I mean, there's a lot of big guys, and Tim Duncan's one of those guys that I see in my top 5 that I personally have seen play.
Right. No,
So.
Agreed. A little backdrop here, too. Some things I looked up about the big fundamental. Selected number 1 out of Wake Forest in 97, was the Rookie of the Year in that 97-98 season. He was named first or second team all-defensive 15 times, which is eye-gouging. 3 more than any other player in NBA history. 157 career playoff wins, which is second in NBA history behind Derek Fisher's 161. He's one of 2 players in NBA history to win a title in 3 different decades, the other being John Sally.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely a legend there. The Spurs won at least 60% of their games in every season of his career, longest such streak by any team in NBA history. Only Kobe spent more seasons, 20, as I said before, with a single franchise. Duncan is tied with John Stockton at 19. And last but not least, he's one of 5 players in NBA history to score 20,000-plus points and play on 5-plus championship teams. The other 4 are Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant, Havlicek, and Michael Jordan. That's good company.
Great company to be around.
Right.
Definitely, for sure. Like I said, Tim Duncan is absolute stud. And, it's definitely sad to see him retire. We thought maybe last year he was going to do it. But one thing, too, I know for a fact this was the first All-Star season that Tim Duncan nor Dirk Nowitzki were in the All-Star game.
Right.
So that just shows you that 18 of his 19 years, he was an All-Star.
Right.
So absolutely phenomenal career. And like Brian Wilson said, he went out slowly. He went out, with no ego, no big ego. And, that's the way you got to do it.
Right.
Kobe had, and going back to also baseball with Derek Jeter, I mean, he got, cowboy boots from Texas. he got.
Yeah, it wasn't just Jeter. It was Jeter. It was Mariano Rivera. You got David Ortiz this year.
But Big Papi, I mean, we could argue that his is like a farewell tour too, but it's not as big as somebody like Derek Jeter or Kobe Bryant was.
I mean, even when Timo Solani announced that it was going to be his last year, they didn't really make a big deal out of him. Like, I mean, the only real arena that did that was Winnipeg.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame. But I like the way he did it.
Right. Well, yeah, and I do too. I mean, it's very humble. I'm not bigger than the game. I'm going to go out gracefully. He was always, a quiet player that just performed, and that's how he retired. So I guess it's in line with that. But didn't he deserve a little more credo? A little bit, you know what I mean, in lieu of everything. I mean, he did win the John R. Wooden Award and the Oscar Robertson Award trophy in '97. I mean, I'm not familiar I know those are really important awards in the NBA world. So, I mean, it shows more than we already highlighted the major awards. You know, it's definitely good for the game. I think the game will take a half a step down now that Tim Duncan's not in it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a good thing for the Spurs, though, they did acquire, or I'm pretty sure they acquired it. Same thing with the Ian Desmond thing. I don't know if they just picked him up or they acquired him, but Pau Gasol. So, I mean, it's another great veteran that's going to be replacing his shoes. So, not a bad guy to pick up. So,
Absolutely.
But it's definitely a big loss for the Spurs.
Absolutely. And I just want to remind you folks, if you're looking to pick up some sporting goods, go to the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located at 703 Black Horse Pike, Glendora, New Jersey. You can give them a call, 856-939-2030. Or you look them up online, sportsoutletinc.com. Man, it's been a great show. Definitely glad to be back from vacation. Glad to be back in the saddle with you fellas.
Man,
Sure.
I'm happy to be here, be a part of the team.
Welcome, man. Definitely outstanding first show, and it only goes up from here, man.
Right.
Absolutely. So I just want to let you all know, coming up on the program, on the station, I should say, the rundown at 4 p.m. here, Zach Burr, Ralph Delvecchio, and Sean Redden. I don't know his last name. I know Sean.
I thought Sean was Philly fan, but he might be on the rundown now.
No, it's a Sean. It's a different Sean. Then I got confused. My apologies to all the folks in the rundown. But great show. They're coming up here 4 p.m. on a2dradio.com. So that wraps it up. Good luck in the second half of the season. We're here for you. Give us your questions. Tweet at us with the hashtag AskFDN. For Brian Daly, Mike Kleinkoff, I'm Rob Povia. We'll catch you next week. Stay classy, San Diego.
Deuce.